only just updating to 89, but we're starting to...
You're going to be watching one of the most explosive players.
Hasn't been said. I mean, this is a guy, every time he steps on the court every season, will break a new NBA record. Most recently, he's been only the third person to score over 2,000 points and mark up over 600 assists and 600 rebounds in one game. And the thing that makes Michael Jordan great, aside being a great defensive player as well, to give him a well-rounded game, is that he makes his teammates better by creating opportunities for them.
All right, the Chicago team is not resting on their laurels. They won 47 games a year ago. They went heavy in the draft, 3 of the top 20 picks.
Well, they look forward to the future. Michael Jordan has logged more minutes than most active players do in this particular span. And what they've done is tried to make themselves strong up the middle, just like baseball teams do. They recognize that that's the foundation. And by going after B.J. Armstrong at point guard and Stacey King at center, they've gotten 2 people who have the potential of being dominant at their position.
All right, Lenny, you know, the Wolves have played some very close games so far, but there is not a team in the NBA better suited in close games than the Chicago Bulls. I saw a statistic that in games decided by 5 points or less, their team, last year, 19-7, an unbelievable mark.
Well, it's unbelievable, but when you really look at it, it translates into one thing. Michael Jordan has the ball in crunch time, and the Bulls are at their best when they can get his hands on the ball because, again, he creates so many opportunities for his teammates, plus he knows what to do with the ball in the last few seconds. Witness his playoff exploits against Cleveland.
All right, Coach, how do you stop the Chicago Bulls?
Well, one of the things you have to do is recognize Michael Jordan controls the show. And when Michael Jordan gets the ball on offense, you've got to make him give it up. And once he gives it up, deny the return to him. That way you force the other Bulls to rise and fall on their athletic ability, and it's not Michael Jordan that's beating you.
As good as this Chicago team is, it is a team in transition right now. They've got a brand new coach. Gone is Doug Collins from a year ago. A new coach in Phil Jackson. Tell us about him.
Well, it's quite a contrast between Phil Jackson and Doug Collins, where Doug Collins as a player and a coach was excitable, highly emotional. The cerebral Phil Jackson, who played that way as a player, is someone who wants to have a low-key approach. He wants his players to recognize and find their identities out there on the court in a more flexible situation. I think it may pay off this season. Plus, the most important thing, he has good rapport with Michael Jordan.
All right, some injuries we need to tell you about. Horace Grant, who started 79 games a year ago for the Chicago Bulls team, is not suited up tonight. Injured last night in Chicago in a very emotional win over the Detroit Pistons. And for the Minnesota Timberwolves, not suited up, Sam Mitchell. He'll be gone till Sunday, they say.
Well, Sam Mitchell will be missed. However, to play Michael Jordan, will start out possibly with Tyrone Corbin. The Timberwolves don't have a shortage of players who are that size and that quick. The question is, can they execute defensively to put pressure on the rest of the Bulls?
It is a big night here, of course, in the Twin Cities. The first time in 30 years a regular season NBA game has been played here. The commissioner of the NBA, David Stern, is here. Brian McIntyre is here from the NBA office. Dignitaries from all over this. I see Dave Winfield across the way. Kirby Puckett is here. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis here. All the notables from the Twin Cities area watching this game, watching history tonight. Now, let me ask you about the emotion of the arena, the emotion of the fans, and the emotion of this team. 35,000 plus they expect. If you're a player for the Timberwolves, how do you handle that aura that surrounds this game?
Well, you have to really feel good about it. Granted, you're 0-2. You've lost some tough games on the road, but now you're home. You want to be able to take teams into the fourth quarter in close games as they did on the road, and that way maybe these fans can get in the game and help them along with a win.
All right, Lenny, the Chicago Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves are now here with their opening lineups is our PA announcer, Mel Lessman.
The Basketball Association has requested that the following announcement be made. Any fan throwing objects, going onto the court, or interrupting play in any manner will be ejected and subject to arrest. We thank you for your cooperation.
We're in the midst of some pregame
activities,
and I want to tell you all about
True Dynasties. University, Vern Mickelson. Midge Berger, wife of the late Laker owner Ben Berger. Forward from Minneapolis, Don Swede Carlson. Former Laker forward from the University of Minnesota and head ex-coach of the Minnesota Vikings, Bud Grant. Seated at the media table was the right-hand man to General Manager Max Winter in running the Laker operation, Sid Hartman. Guard from St. Paul and Hamline University, Joe Hutton. Forward from Northeast Minneapolis, Tony Jaros. Head coach John Gondola from Minneapolis. Guard and All-American from the University of Minnesota, Chuck Bensel. Captain of the Minneapolis Lakers and member of the NBA Hall of Fame, the greatest player of the first half century of the NBA, center George Mikan. Forward from Ohio State, Dick Schnittiker. Forward from St. Paul, Howie Schultz. Guard and All-American from the University of Minnesota, Whitey Skoog. Forward from Minneapolis, Don Smith. And the former general manager of the Minneapolis Lakers and former general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, Max Winter. Ladies and gentlemen, the six-time world champion Minneapolis Lakers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Commissioner of the National Basketball Association, David Stern. And the President of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Bob Stein.
Welcome, everyone, to the Minnesota Timberwolves' first home game ever. After nearly 30 years, we're extremely proud that NBA basketball is back in Minnesota. On behalf of our coaches, players, and owners, I want to thank you, the Wolfpack, for the support that has made it all possible. Please enjoy tonight's game, and please feel free to demonstrate that famous Minnesota enthusiasm. There are two people who did not want to be introduced, but absolutely should, so I will. The owners of the Timberwolves, Harvey Ratner and Marv Wolfenson. And now, it's my great pleasure to introduce the man I consider the most responsible for the huge success of the NBA and for awarding a new franchise to Minnesota, Commissioner David J. Stern.
Thank you, Bob. I'm fast. On behalf of the NBA's Board of Governors, it is my great pleasure to welcome the Minnesota Timberwolves and their wonderful fans to the National Basketball Association. It is great to be back in the Twin Cities and the state of Minnesota. Good luck to you all. We're proud to be back, and we hope you're as glad to have us as we are to be back here. Good luck to all.
Get ready for the NBA. Back in the Twin Cities, the Chicago Bulls and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Back next with tonight's opening lineups.
Excitement of NBA basketball on the Minnesota Timberwolves television network. The Timberwolves wish to thank these exclusive partners for bringing you tonight's action. Miller Genuine Draft, cold filtered for real draft taste. Tap into the cold. The First Banks in your community. First Banks, we're doing more on your account. Coca-Cola, can't beat the feeling. U.S. West, making the most of your time. Your Great Northern Jeep and Eagle dealers, where you can expect the best. And Burger King, head over for a Whopper, fries, and soft drink. It's a fantastic three-point play. All the fast-breaking excitement of NBA basketball is coming up on the Minute.
Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and beginning to an emotional night here at the Metrodome in the Twin Cities. Let's go back to our PA announcer now, Mel Westland.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Metrodome for tonight's National Basketball Association game between the Chicago Bulls and your Minnesota Timberwolves. Please welcome the Bulls on their first Minnesota appearance. Introducing the non-starters, number 10, guard B.J. Armstrong. Number 14, guard Craig Hodges. Number 15, center Jack Haley. Number 22, forward Charles Davis. Number 32, center Will Perdue. And number 45, forward Ed Neely. Now tonight's starting lineups. At forward, 6 feet, 10 inches from Oklahoma, number 34, Stacey King. At the other forward, 6 feet, 8 inches from Central Arkansas, number 33, Scottie Pippen. At center, 7 feet, 1 inch from San Francisco, number 24, Bill Cartwright. At guard, 6 feet, 2 inches from Notre Dame, number 5, John Paxson. And at the other guard, 6 feet, 6 inches from North Carolina, number 23, Michael Jordan. On the injured list and not dressing for Chicago tonight are Jeff Sanders and Horace Grant. The Chicago head coach is Phil Jackson. Assistant coaches are John Bach and Tex Winter. The trainer is Mark Feil. And now, please welcome your Minnesota Timberwolves in their first ever regular season appearance. Get ready to run with the Wolves. Introducing the non-starters, number 1, guard forward Adrian Branch. Number 3, forward Scott Roth. Number 5, guard Doug West. Number 15, forward Donald Royal. Number 24, guard Boo Richardson. Number 42, forward Sam Mitchell. And number 52, center Gary Leonard. Now, tonight's starting lineup. At forward, 6 feet, 6 inches from DePaul, number 23, Tyrone Corbin. At forward, 6 feet, 10 inches from Cal Irvine, number 4, Todd Murphy. At center, 7 feet from Iowa, number 54, Brad Lohaus. At guard, 6 feet, 7 inches from Ohio State, number 19, Tony Campbell. And at the other guard, 6 feet from North Carolina State, number 35, Sidney Lowe. The Timberwolves head coach is Bill Musselman. Assistant coaches are Tom Thibodeau and Bob Zuffalato. The Minnesota trainer is Jay Jensen. The officials for tonight's game, as assigned by the NBA, are Joe Crawford, Lee Jones, and Joe DeRosa.
All right, Lenny, our referees tonight.
Well, we've got Joe Crawford on the left, Lee Jones in the middle, and Joe DeRosa. With Joe Crawford and Lee Jones particularly, you've got two good veteran officials who most of the time let guys play to keep the game in control. They were kidding me right before the start of it and wondering if I'm going to criticize them as heavily as I did when I played.
How about some of the matchups tonight? Let's take a look at the point with Lowe and Paxson.
Well, John Paxson is the type of player who will hit the open jump shot. He's the guy that people go to when there's penetration by Michael Jordan and some of the other players. He likes to spot up along the three-point area.
The shooting guards will have a big role tonight.
Well, I don't know if this is going to be the defensive matchup, but I tell you, Tony Campbell has been on somewhat of a slide here in shooting. He's going to have to come up with a big game. Defensively against Michael Jordan, they've got to run at least 2 or 3 guys. Watch a shuttle of people trying to wear him down.
You are seeing now live the family of the missing youth from St. Joseph, Minnesota, Jacob Wetterling's family. And tonight, a good portion of the proceeds from the game have gone to helping this family and helping the fund established for Jacob Wetterling. And the Timberwolves made this announcement earlier in the week, a standing ovation from over 35,000 involved with this humanitarian effort. All right, backdoor matchups tonight. You're going to see some big people down low in the pivot. Lohaus against Cartwright.
Well, Billy Cartwright is the kind of guy who likes to throw his weight around inside. That's his forte, getting the ball inside, a variety of moves. He likes to turn around jump shot. Brad Lohaus has seen him before, so this will be a key matchup because if they can take the pressure off of the defender of Michael Jordan, they can throw it inside to Cartwright.
And there will be a change up front. Horace Grant will not start, but Stacey King, the rookie out of Oklahoma, takes on Murphy.
Well, Stacey King in the first 2 games this season has had an awful lot of trouble offensively, and he's going to be called upon to add greater responsibility.
And the small forwards, Tyrone Gordon and Scottie Pippen. There's the tip, and it's won by Chicago. Bulls control, and Paxson goes against Lowe. Both of similar size, similar build. Here's King in the circle. Down low to Cartwright. Murphy's on him. Outside for Paxson. Back to Cartwright. And he was fouled by Murphy on a push off the baseline.
Well, just as last night in their win against Detroit, Bulls seem to be content in establishing all the other people before they let Michael Jordan do his thing. They know what to expect out of him, but what they'd like to do is get everybody a chance to touch the ball and feel comfortable with it.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the NBA and the Minnesota Timberwolves Basketball Club Incorporated, and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the expressed written consent of the NBA and the Minnesota Timberwolves is strictly prohibited. Point is on the board. Bulls on top, 1-0. Chicago last year winning 47, losing 35. 3 less wins than a year ago. Cartwright was one of the reasons why this team grew stronger inside. 2-0 Chicago.
Chicago decides to put a little full-court pressure on the Timberwolves right now, but Sidney Lowe is very capable of handling it.
Pippen is on Campbell. Lohaus brings Cartwright out. Michael Jordan is guarding Tyrone Corbin. There's a pass knocked away by Jordan, picked up by Murphy, into top. Tony Campbell gets it, double team, squeezes a shot. Cartwright comes up with it. Jordan is upended by Lohaus. They will call a loose ball foul on Lohaus.
Tony Campbell a little slow in pulling the trigger on that rebound. He had an opportunity to tip it in without even bringing it down. But again, shows you the height advantage of the Chicago Bulls. Here's the outlet pass after the block shot. Lohaus hustling, as every Timberwolf seems to do in these games. Kind of upends Michael Jordan, who also goes after the ball. Neither one of those guys are afraid of floor burns.
I guess one of the questions is, how long can Musselman instill this intensity in this Timberwolves team?
Well, the hunger has to be there every night, and that's one of the jobs of an NBA coach because of all the games. You got to be able to do it every night.
Jordan was double-teamed and missed, and Corbin collects the loose ball. Saxon will go head-to-head with Lowe. 2-0 Chicago. And a gone first quarter. Lowe by the defense to the hole. Didn't count it. Goaltending against Stacey King. We're tied at 2.
Phil Jackson has to be happy, though, with the way Stacey King moved across the lane that time to help out. Nice drive by Sidney Lowe.
Jordan was stripped of the ball by Lowe. More defense by the Wolves, again causing turnovers, and Campbell's on the side.
Bulls seem to have switched on defense. Michael Jordan outside now playing Sidney Lowe, seeing Tyrone Corbin post him up.
Campbell from long distance. 4-2 Minnesota.
And that may be what the doctor ordered for Tony Campbell, suffering somewhat of a slump in the last 2 games. He's got to get off the mark here to help his team.
Here's Cartwright to Jordan to Paxson. Stacey King wheels around Lowehouse. The shot is away and drops. Count it. Foul called against Lowehouse. What do you think of Stacey King, the youngster, 6'11", out of Oklahoma?
Well, I had an opportunity during the NCAA regionals to watch Stacey King closely doing some of those games. He's got a world of talent inside. He's got to recognize, though, as his coaches will tell him, he's got to extend more when he's inside to keep people from blocking his shots. That time he may have gotten away with a little hook on Brad Lowehouse, but he played it very fluidly.
3-point play by King, 5-4 Chicago. Lowe is guarded by Paxson. Campbell and Pippen, boy, really bruising inside the box. To the right of your screen, down low. There's the pass to Campbell. There's the shot. Yeah! 6-5, Minnesota.
Now, what the offense for the Timberwolves seems to be doing is trying each player on the front line of the Bulls. I think they may have found the weak spot in Scottie Pippen on Tony Campbell. Look for them to exploit that with their offense.
Pippen in the paint. And a shot will not drop. There's King with the board and a point. 7-6 Chicago.
Brad Lowehouse failed to check out that time. Uncharacteristic of this team, who heretofore have been great at rebounding, and one of the things that helps them rebounding is fundamentals.
Lowehouse puts up a 13-point. 8-7 Minnesota. Back and forth we've gone. About 5 lead changes so far. Lowehouse with 2, but he's playing with 2 fouls. Will he play more inhibited basketball now, you think?
Well, when you do the fundamental things such as blocking out on the rebounds, those are the things that usually don't get you in trouble. It's usually when you gamble.
Jordan beneath the arc. That's a 2-point shot. The 3-point arc is 23 feet 9 inches away. And with a foot inside, Jordan gives Chicago a 9-8 advantage. Campbell, great move around Jordan. He was fouled in the dribble drive down the boulevard.
Well, it's a good heads-up play by Tony Campbell. His man, Scottie Pippen, left him to gamble on Sidney Lowe. Sidney Lowe found the open man, and Tony Campbell decides to make Pippen pay by putting pressure on the interior defense of the Bulls.
Campbell is a 50% free throw shooter, and he brings his first right there. He ties the game for the first time. Make it the second time, now at 9. First tie at 2. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lead changes. Campbell again. Misses. Pippen guarded by Campbell. Down low to King. Works on the 2 fouled Lowehouse. There's an air ball. Rebound is taken by Murphy. Down to tie. 1-on-1 with Michael. An open Tony Campbell thinks about a 3. Tied at 9. Clock down to 8.5 minutes remaining in this first quarter of play. Foul called away from the ball. It's called on Chicago.
Looked as though that Brad Lowehouse, trying to get to the top, was inhibited a bit by Billy Cartwright. Bill Cartwright and Phil Jackson have this quizzical look on their faces like, this is the NBA. Can I touch him?
Cartwright picks up the foul. Shot clock with 20 seconds on it right now. Here's Lowehouse by a slower Cartwright. Campbell looks at the shot clock, which now reads 10. He's double-teamed and hemmed in. Knocked away, retrieved by Corbin. He started tonight, puts it up in traffic. Rebounder, tipped up from Campbell again. Yes!
So far, this is the 3rd game, and still the Timberwolves don't have any signs of letting up, particularly on the boards. They know they've got to hustle every night.
Campbell's put in 6. Wolves by 2. Cartwright with his back and shove into Murphy, and it's up and in. Tied at 11, game's 3rd time. Sidney Lowe, again guarded by Paxson. Two playmakers. Shutting the defense is Campbell. Pippen was on him. Now he's not. There's the shot. Will not drop. And Cartwright fetches. It's off to Michael. Freelance on the near side. Pippen on the run. Pippen to the hole. Pippen misses. Murphy with his second rebound, and Tyrone Corbin gives off to Campbell. 2-on-1. A no-looker to Lowehouse. Here's the pop. Yes! Count the two.
Phil Jackson again wondering what's going on out there, but great decision by Tony Campbell. The last time down, he may have settled too soon for the jump shot, feeling that he's got the hot hand, but here he does an excellent job of drawing Cartwright to him and dishing off to Lowehouse.
Brad Lowehouse will be at the line when we return. 7-12, first quarter. The Timberwolves lead by 2, 13-11. It is a festive night here in the Twin Cities, and at the Metrodome, celebrities abound. And there you see one right there from the Minnesota Twins and the American League batting champion Kirby Puckett.
You know, you can tell he loves basketball. He must be one of those frustrated little guys that wants to be a center as high as he gets up to steal home runs from people.
Hey kids 14 and under, go to your local Burger King store tomorrow and register at the Pooh Richardson display for a chance to become an official Burger King ball kid at a Timberwolves home game. No purchase necessary. Wolves by 2, 7-12 remaining in the first quarter. There's another point. Lowehouse completes the three-point play. Wolves on top 14-11, their largest lead of the game. Wolves out there with Lowehouse, Lowe, Campbell, Murphy, and Corbin, and around both of Lowehouse and Murphy was a nice play. Stacey King.
Well, as we look at full court pressure by the Bulls, Kevin, one thing has been fairly conspicuously absent, and that's the play of Michael Jordan. It seems that the Bulls right now, again, are trying to get everybody else involved and let Michael become the decoy.
Campbell is up high. No pop from the free throw line. Snyder misses. Off of Jordan, who's 5 for the board. This Chicago Bull team last night played a very emotional game where Jordan put in 40 points and Phil Jackson got another home win over Detroit.
And one of the things that they have to be careful of is, again, not to wear Michael out too soon. So he's out there and his presence is known, but it hasn't been, as of yet, felt.
Lowehouse around Cartwright, misses. Cartwright the board, Paxson on the break, down the middle. On the baseline, Jordan. Rebound Campbell, out the long. Here come the Wolves running. Against Michael Jordan. Murphy takes the shot. Taller is King. That's got to be a tough guy to get it up and over. 13 seconds on the shot clock. Campbell works his way on the baseline.
That's what you like to see Tony Campbell do. A couple of times again, he settled too early for the jump shot. And when you're shooting poorly, you want to get a couple of easy baskets. It gives you some confidence, so you know you're not having such a bad shooting percentage.
Campbell with 9. There's a nice shot. Grafted in by Pippen. Both teams shooting about 50% from the field. Rebounds virtually even at 7 for Chicago and 5 for the Timberwolves. Bulls with 2 turnovers. Campbell working on Pippen. Pippen is taller, faster, but Campbell more physical, as you see right there, and he's called for the charge.
Well, Tony made up his mind in which way he was going to go. Pippen with quick feet stepped in his way. Tony Campbell, if he doesn't have the shot right off the bat, he should have at least enough confidence to give it up to his teammates because they'll get it back to him if he gets open again. But you can recognize right now that the Wolves are relying on Tony Campbell to pick up the scoring.
Wolves by a point. 5.5 minutes remaining first quarter. Cartwright against Murphy. Hook shot. Good. At the other end, they've got Lowehouse going offensively into Cartwright. Defensively, the Wolves are putting Murphy on.
And that's a tough matchup for Todd Murphy at 6'9", Billy Cartwright at 7'1". Cartwright, again, has a world of moves inside, and it's difficult to stop.
Campbell by Pippen. To the hole. Will pump. Off the ball. Good steal by King. He loses his footing. Guys, they're going to call a jump ball.
And Kevin, right now you can see Tony Campbell is assuming the scoring responsibility, but he's a little too anxious. He's asking for a call by slapping his hand, saying he was slapped on the wrist. But again, you can see just a little too quick in his moves. He's got to be able to play with the other guys on his team, particularly when he brings it into the lane and the Chicago Bulls come in and close in on him.
Corbin will jump for the Wolves. Cartwright for the Bulls. Won by Jordan in Chicago. No surprise there. Cartwright with the height advantage. Paxson leads this team for the point. Goes against fellow point Lowe. Spinner. King misses. Tapped inside. Loose ball foul called inside. Sidney Lowe will pick it up for the Wolves.
Again, fine defense inside by Brad Lowehouse. He's making Stacey King put the ball on the ground. The problem is King bounces it but doesn't go anywhere.
Sidney Lowe had 3 CDA championships under his belt. Here comes Jordan down the lane. Nice play. Nice right to the defense.
A nice clear out on the side. Corbin didn't get much help.
Jordan with 4 in the game. Wolves trail by 3, 19-16. 4.5 minutes first quarter. Sidney Lowe, the smallest guy on the floor right now, gives to Campbell, who's playing the number 2 position tonight, the off guard, and Jordan with a nice defensive play on Corbin.
And that gives you an idea of how well-rounded Michael Jordan's game is. Not only is he a high scorer on the offensive end, but he'll get up in his man's face and overplay the passing lane.
Look at Jordan, palming the ball. Corbin has the unenviable task of guarding. Best player in the NBA. Players slipped and a foul called, and Pippen will pick it up down below. Literally pushed Tony Campbell to the floor.
Well, Tony Campbell did a nice job of fronting and denying that pass into Pippen.
What do you think of the tempo of the game so far with about 6-7 minutes gone?
Well, this is typical Timberwolves basketball, if there is such a thing after 3 games, but they want to control the tempo, make the team play half-court basketball. They control it on the offensive end by running an awful lot of alternatives and options off of their offense.
Shot clock down to 6. Corbin must make a move, and he hits Murphy on the baseline, and he'll shot it to the side of the backboard.
That's the only drawback to running through your options. You get a 4th shot when the clock runs down.
Jordan floats and shoots and misses. Rebound Lowehouse, and here come the Wolves. They've got a 3-on-1, making a 4-on-1. Tim pushed down by Thompson. Got it!
That was an attempt at a push down.
Tony Campbell's put in 13 in the first quarter so far. Michael Jordan missing.
Good transition by the Wolves after the rebound. Lowehouse knows who to get it to, the floor general. Campbell runs the lane nicely and using excellent strength and presence of mind to use his offhand, still lays the ball in despite being held.
Campbell at 14 in the first quarter. Wolves tied at 19 with Chicago. This is the game's 4th tie. Locked down to 3.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Jackson up high, guarded by Lowe. On the baseline, Cartwright is spinning, will not fall. Rebound, King, he misses. Rebound, Jackson in the line of the Giants. They'll take it out. Reset for Chicago. Davis just checking in. Pops it from 20. Good.
Charles Davis is a welcome addition to the Bulls after playing last year with them for most of the season coming from Milwaukee. Charles Davis is one of those role players. He'll give you a little bit of offense. He'll play strong defense on the other end.
Wolves have not made a substitution so far in this game. Lowehouse will work on the slower Cartwright. Lowehouse from long distance. Misses. Murphy swipes at the ball. Chases it to the corner and retrieves, and the Wolves set up. They got a full allotment on the shot clock to work with. And they trail by 2 and just under 3 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Jordan is guarding Campbell, but Jordan has not done a very good job as Campbell. Len has put in 14 points.
Well, it's been off and on. I think Jordan has just recently got on Tony Campbell. Prior to that, it's been Scottie Pippen. And now, recognizing that maybe you have to put a stopper on him, who does Phil Jackson go to? But his best player, and particularly his best defensive player, Michael Jordan.
A couple times, though, Jordan has been on Campbell, and Jordan picks up a foul right there. Timeout taken. We've got 2:45 remaining in the first quarter, and Chicago holding on to a 21-19 lead over the Bulls. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves basketball television.
Cordially invited to an NBA homecoming on Red River TV. Wednesday, the Minnesota Timberwolves come home to the Metrodome for their first NBA regular season home game. Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls are the special housewarming guests. Come and see our new neighbors polish the woodwork and air their differences. Join us Wednesday night at 7 o'clock sharp here on Red River TV. No RSVP required.
Sunday. She's a kleptomaniac and a pathological liar.
He has 72 hours to bring in a state witness.
What could go wrong?
It's supposed to be easy.
Just a safe trip home.
Yeah, that's the deal.
But someone wants her dead.
A nice start, Fonzie.
You folks newlyweds or something?
Actually, I'm a sex slave.
You should have let him find us and kill us.
Booker.
You're crazy, you know that?
He's got the fast lane all to himself.
Sunday night at 6 on Red River TV.
The newest Timberwolves, Crunch, the mascot, just coming out and on the floor. This guy's something else, like the gorilla in Phoenix, maybe the best known of all the mascots. There's Tony Campbell. He's been the big offensive threat. 14 points, 6 and 7 from the field. That's the owner of the Minnesota Twins, Kirby Puckett. We saw one of his employees here earlier. Carl Poad is here. There's Tony Campbell at the line for the Wolves. 14 points tonight. Wolves from the field so far. shooting 47%. Chicago 50%. Rebounding virtually even, 9 for Minnesota, 8 for Chicago. Assists even at 5. Turnovers 3 for the Wolves and 2 for the Chicago Bulls.
Kevin, with Tony Campbell on the line, this is one of the best remedies for poor shooting percentages. Get yourself to the basket, draw some fouls, get some easy baskets.
Bulls down by a point. Locked down to 2:40 in the first quarter. Jordan floats, slam.
That time he caught Tyrone Corbin cheating to his right, and Michael Jordan with a nice crossover does the thing he does best.
Jordan has put in 6 first quarter points so far. Corbin guarded by Jordan. Now they change up that matchup, so Campbell is free. He's going to be guarded by Davis, who's much more physical. Campbell in the paint, double punch, puts it up, misses. Campbell gets his own ball. They're 24 on that shot clock. Bulls down by 3. Tyrone Corbin. Michael Jordan to Kirk. And the Bulls the other way.
2 minutes left in the quarter.
Jackson threads one down low to King. Back to Michael. Another 22-footer is up the court. He's put an 8. He's catching fire.
Well, again, we mentioned at the top of the show, the Wolves, once the ball is given up and Jordan doesn't have it on offense, you got to keep him from getting it back. That time, no one played Michael Jordan around the three-point area.
Lowehouse bringing up Cartwright. Campbell by Jordan. Swat. Defense inside by Chicago. Pulling up is Davis. 27-20. Chicago.
And that's excellent transition by the Bulls. Again, Tony Campbell in drawing the defenders towards him. At that time, he had 3. Has got to look for the open teammates.
Shot clock down to 9, and Lowehouse tries to make a move. Lowe is the man in control of the ball now. Off to Campbell. Over Jordan. Good. 16 in the first quarter for Tony Campbell. Wolves down by 5. Inside Davis. Misses. King gets the ball a volleyball style and controls for Chicago. They've controlled the offensive board, and that's helpful inside as Lowehouse tries to defend King. Doesn't do it. King has a nice touch, doesn't he?
Well, he does. His strength in college, though, is once he got the ball was a little drop step. That means he got his head and shoulders past his man once he got the ball. Here in the NBA, he's forced to turn and face and shoot jumpers like that. And while he hasn't done it with regularity, he's starting to get the hang of it.
Kings put in 6, and the Bulls on top, 29-22. We've got 7 seconds on the shot clock. Over 30 remaining in the first quarter as Murphy made a nice move. He usually doesn't show that kind of quickness, does he?
But he's a heady player who saw the lane wide open and just took it to the basket. No help from the Chicago Bull front line.
Shot clock and the game clock have about 2-3 seconds difference. Shot clock is down now to 10. Paxson with a stationary dribble, as you can see, low in the buffer about 10 feet away. Jordan moving on that baseline. Corbin is on him like glue. There's a good kick. That opens up Jordan. He now shoots with the Boyd and misses. 1 second left. Corbin up. It'll not count. Buzzer sound.
That's the end of the first quarter. The score, Chicago.
First quarter is complete. Chicago leads at 29-24. Second quarter remaining. Local break coming up now.
Oh, it's okay. Wesley was a perfect gentleman. Only because you two got back so fast.
Mr. Belvedere, weekdays at 5:30.
Rebates up to $320 for switching to electric water heating. Your favorite appliance dealer has the water heaters. Otter Tail Power Company has the rebates.
Move up to electric, your quality choice.
Yes, you heard right. Rebates up to $320 for switching to electric water heating. See your favorite appliance dealer while he still has some left.
Move up to electric, your quality choice.
Sunday.
I know a way that we can make a fortune. You want to hear about it?
No.
Al's got a scheme.
555. Shoe.
Operators are standing by.
No one is stupid enough to call a shoe hotline.
Well, everyone in high school said no one was stupid enough to marry the big redhead.
Married with children. Then, Ted and Linda take Las Vegas by storm and lose their assets.
Credit 3 loser. Oh.
Sunday night at 8 on Red River TV.
Nobody tops your pickup like Redco, the Northland's one-stop pickup shop. Choose a quality Lear fiberglass topper available in a huge selection of colors, styles, and sizes. With Lear, you get the industry's only true lifetime warranty. Redco's great accessories include the new pop top, the convenient tilt-a-topper lift kit, rugged bed mats and bed liners, and the stowaway slide-in sofa for comfortable seating and sleeping. Redco, Fargo, and Brainerd, they're tops in toppers and pickup accessories.
Goodyear tires, proven performance for all Minnesota driving conditions. Let the open road lead you to Grover Lindbergh Tire Center, Detroit Lakes. Wherever you live, they are this area's home to dependable Goodyear tires. Technology from Goodyear that gives you a comfortable ride even in the most adverse driving conditions. For any vehicle, car, truck, or tractor, cover more ground with a trip to Grover Lindbergh Tire Center, Detroit Lakes, where rugged, dependable Goodyear products call home.
Chicago by 5 at the end of the first quarter of play. Bulls shot 54% from the field, and so far the Wolves at 45%. Tony Campbell's put in 17 in the first quarter. Kids of all ages coming in November at participating Burger King stores, the official Burger King Timberwolves collectors playing cards. Collect trading cards featuring your favorite Timberwolves players. The purchase of a Burger King kids meal. Bulls trail by 5. What'd you notice in that first quarter?
Well, you notice the Chicago Bulls are allowing Michael Jordan to kind of roam and pick his spots while they're getting inside to Stacey King and Bill Cartwright. On the other hand, though, the Wolves are getting great play out of Tony Campbell despite a couple of blocked shots. Campbell 7 for 10 from the floor, and that's what patience does. It will rule out with a guy who shoots like Tony Campbell.
A lot of substitutions. Armstrong and Hodges now, the backcourt combination with the ball right there. You see Will Perdue faking one way, spinning the other, shooting over Roth. Julian in for the Wolves. It'll outwork, and a foul called inside on Chicago. Let me set up the 5 for the Wolves. Murphy, Roth, Doug West. They've got Lowe and Corbin. Doug West, a surprise entrant early in the game.
Well, let's talk about Will Perdue first, just for a second. He's been such a disappointment for the Bulls, at least in his first year. Second year, they feel he can handle a backup spot. He's got to get better inside. Doug West, though, he's the kind of guy that can really light it up once he gets started. Instant offense. Now to have him take over where Tony Campbell left off would be something for the Wolves at this point.
West with the J, pulls the Wolves to within 3. There's Perdue up high. Wheels around Roth. Puts it up beneath the line. It will not drop. Fighting for the rebound across the way. Roth going it, saving it. Down the middle low. A no-looker. Taken by Roth. He misses. Murphy, muscle. Puts it up. Misses. Davis comes out of the horn with the ball. Nice tenacity inside by the Wolves, and Davis showing the same for Chicago. Ball knocked off to the near side here, and the Bulls will inbound.
Well, this particular point in time with the team the Bulls have out on the court, the Wolves are out fast breaking them. You see that B.J. Armstrong called for a little control in the half-court situation.
Jordan is out, but Davis is in, missing. Perdue gets the rebound. He's up and missing again, and he's fouled inside. Lowe is there. Murphy as well. Let's see who picks it up. I think Sid Lowe is the guilty party.
Well, unlike the first quarter, some of the Wolves, like Todd Murphy, have been allowing Will Perdue and Stacey King to walk them too far under the basket. That time the ball came off on the weak side, Perdue in perfect position. And I think Murphy was a little too far under that.
10:19 remaining in this first half of play. Jack Haley will come in. Stacey King will check out. Well, you talk about going to the bench. That's exactly what Phil Jackson, the coach of the Bulls, is doing here.
Well, it's early in the season right now. The Bulls have played back-to-back games. The first one last night was a tough one. He might as well see who he has right now. Not to say he's taking the Wolves lightly, but he wants to see what kind of players he has this time of the season. He wants to see who he can count on.
Michael Jordan put in 6 in the first quarter. Haley picks up the foul. Wolves down by 4. Lowe works against Armstrong, and there's a nice pick by West, and that gives Lowe some room. Quickness right here. The advantage goes to Armstrong against Lowe. Up by Roth, guarded by Haley. Roth is 6'7". Haley is 6'11". Roth over Haley. Yeah!
It's going to be a tough matchup for Jack Haley to guard Scott Roth, who's accustomed to being outside. Haley, a post player in college.
Greg Hodges, who can shoot from long distance. Love that three-point arc, one of the better ones in the league. Getting open Perdue and shooting over Roth and missing. Another rebound from Murphy, his second consecutive defensive board. He's scoring on the offensive end as well. Here's Corbin outside the lane. We're tied at 30, folks, from the Dome. This is the game's 5th tie.
And with the 5 players the Wolves have out there on the floor right now, their transition game is nicely done from offense to defense.
They give it to Perdue. He misses the shot. You can see right now what Jackson wants to do. Get it inside to the big guy, Perdue.
And as I mentioned, offense and defense, the Wolves score, they get back quickly. The Wolves have to play half court now, and what they're trying to do is go into their big people, Haley and Purdue. That's where they have their advantage. At least they believe that.
Roth has got a quick matchup here on Haley. He's going to win on that account. But Haley's got the size. Here's Lowe backing into the rookie out of Iowa, Armstrong. Now Roth, wide open Corbin. Putting in his first two, tries for another. This is there. West diving. Top of Minnesota.
Referee Lee Jones, even though on top of the play, had a little difficulty seeing exactly what went on.
Purdue will check out. He is given a rest to Pippen, who now checks back in the game. Down front, they've got Haley. And Hodges searches and finds Haley, who's now right around the circle. Murphy's on him. Shot clock down to 10. Here's Scottie Pippen. 32-30, Chicago by 2. Low down court to Roth. Bill Musselman barking out calls. You can see him on the upper portion of your screen. He rarely sits down during a game.
You see the Bulls have made an adjustment now with Charles Davis on Scott Roth. Davis more accustomed to playing people outside, but that time still couldn't keep Roth from penetrating.
See any changes, Lenny, by the Wolves? Any adjustments they've tried to make? Of course, now they got a completely different lineup to go in.
Well, they've got a smaller team and maybe somewhat quicker team with 2 guards and maybe a potential third guard, and Tyrone Corbin are able to spread the floor, get the ball to Scott Roth in the middle, let him try to create something or hit the open people who come off picks.
The rookie West missing, and Haley collects the loose board. It's off to Armstrong with a nice release. Look at Armstrong, skipping the ball. More defense by Minnesota. Down court low. He's got a guy in his tail. He slows it up. Wolves down by 2. 8:10 remaining in the first half.
Well, on that particular play, a lot of people were wondering why Sidney Lowe didn't take it to the basket, but I think he may have either twisted his ankle or looked like he's done something to him because he had a pained expression on his face when he called the 22nd.
Well, Sidney Lowe has been battling back problems. He has been battling a hyperextended elbow. He is a very slight shoulder problem.
And here on the break, you can see as he comes down, he now feels something and he starts pulling back out, and now slower as he moves out, he finally calls the 22nd.
On the left of your screen, you see the trainer, Jay Jensen. There's Sidney Lowe, and I don't know if he's going to remain in or out. He's going to take a breather. Next telecast will come Friday night, November 17th, from the ancient Boston Garden, and the Wolves take on the Celtics. And then after that, Friday, November 24th, day after Thanksgiving, we'll be down in Dallas, sharing some turkey and watching the Mavericks and the Wolves. Of course, you'll be cooking the turkey, so then again, you aren't. No, I wouldn't do that to you.
Get you back.
Ed Neely's going to come in the game. Tell us about this guy, journeyman in the CBA and the NBA.
Well, you got to appreciate Ed Neely's perseverance here. He's stuck around for a long time, being the role player, the smart player that he is. It just shows you don't necessarily have to be an all-star to be a team player and to be on someone's NBA squad.
Rookie against rookie. Pooh Richardson against Armstrong on the side for Corbin. Now to Roth, guarded by Neely. Both of similar size. Neely the bulkier, and the 24-second shot clock goes off. The shooting violation. It'll go back to Chicago. Nice defense by the Chicago Bulls.
And that's kind of the sign of an inexperienced team as well. You can see the Timberwolves bench during that sequence. No one raised a hand. No one said anything to Scott Roth that it's less than 5 seconds. Experienced teams do that.
There's a good pick by Haley. Armstrong is open. Whistle blows away from the ball. 3-second violation against the Chicago Bulls, sitting in the paint. A lot of young players make that mistake, don't they?
Well, it gets to the point where they get caught up in the offensive flow. They expect the ball to be thrown to them, not cognizant of where they are.
Passing the 7.5-minute mark of the second quarter. Wolves down by 2. Have been stuck in this score for a while. Wolves with 2 rookies out there, West and Richardson. Here's Roth. Neely's on him. Speed advantage for Roth, as you see there with a nice move around Neely. Yeah, that's a good matchup, isn't it?
Well, it's perfect for the Timberwolves because, again, Scott Roth knows what to do when he has the ball outside with a smaller opponent.
Hodges likes to shoot the 3, but Washington converges. Armstrong puts it up. 2-point shot. No, not dropped. Corbin collects it around the bigger and bulkier Neely. Now here's Pooh to Roth. Pops. Raises iron. Nice outlet by Armstrong. 2-on-1. Pippen himself floats and misses.
Scott Roth here with the ball, looking baseline. He's got Neely rocking back and forth with the little fakes. and that's a sign of a smart player. You don't have to be the quickest player. You got to recognize your defender's balance.
Folks, we're in the midst of our 6th time. Wolves and Bulls. This is the Timberwolves Basketball Television Network.
For over 40 years, satisfied.
The Chicago Bulls a year ago, 47-35. That is a brief history right there of this team. Of course, their first year was the 66-67 season, but they won 30 games or something like that their first year, right around that area, and they were one of the most successful, if not the most successful, expansion team in the history of the NBA. It had some success. Tied at 32. Foul against Chicago.
Actually, good defense. 5-second call against Chicago. The Wolves ball.
So that 5-second foul goes back over to the Wolves, and Pooh Richardson goes against Paxson, an experienced guy against Richardson. Michael Jordan is back in the game, so too is Cartwright. Scottie Pippen, of course, remains in. Here's a pass. Open is wrong. In the land of the Giants, he misses. Cartwright loses the ball. Donald Royal is in the game, too, as you see Cartwright, who is diving down below. Cartwright began his career at the New York Knicks. And now is with Chicago. He joined the team a year ago in that Oakley trade. What did you think of that trade? Cartwright coming to Chicago, Oakley going into the Knicks.
Well, obviously it was mutually beneficial. Billy Cartwright gave Chicago exactly what they needed, a proven inside scorer. And Billy can do that, having played against him and with him when we were with the Knicks together. I know that once he gets his hands on the ball, he knows how to move. Oakley, on the other hand, gives the Knicks that strong rebounder, someone to take the pressure off of Pat Ewing and allow Pat Ewing to do the things, scoring and playing defense, that he does so well.
Corbin at the line. Are you surprised he's in the kind of shape he is in without having benefit of a full training camp?
Who's that? Corbin? No, I'm not, because even though you're not in camp, you recognize that you're going to be under the microscope when you come in after a holdout, and Tyrone Corbin did the thing he's supposed to do. That's good responsibility, good maturity.
Haley put it down and then left. Tied at 34 here in the Twin Cities. This is the game's 7th time. I don't think a lot of people thought this game would be this close. There was a 10-point spread in the morning papers. Chicago, of course, favored. Here's Donald Royal. Look at that matchup right there with Cartwright. He zips by him. He goes to the hole. Layup is no good. The foul is called inside. Cartwright will pick it up. That's what you want, because he's going to gamble, he's going to reach, and he's going to draw a foul. Right there was the case.
And you can tell that the Wolves are sharp and they're on top of their game right now offensively, because those are the things that they look for. An exploitation of a mismatch, and Donald Royal and Bill Cartwright. You see Royal uses his body nicely with the bump and still continues to lay it in.
Can Royal or Adrian Branch be that go-to guy in the 4th quarter as Cartwright takes a seat with 3 personal fouls and the rookie King is back in?
But given time, I think that they'll be comfortable. Both have shown, as I said earlier, the willingness to take that shot, but then it becomes a question of judgment when to take the shot. And both of them are young players, not a whole lot of NBA experience. But the one thing you need is that desire, and you can see Donald Royal. He's not afraid of anyone, 7-footer or no.
Donald Royal misses right there, but boy, he's been near perfect in the opening game. This is 2 in fact. Still tied at 34. Game 7 time. Michael Jordan guarded by Corbin. Stacey King, the rookie, looks for the better. Back to Pippen. Makes a good fake. West takes it. Here's the shot. Royal gets a uncharacteristic defensive rebound down court. Pass a little bit too fast.
Well, I tell you, though, Pooh Richardson made the right move. He looked ahead across court to Doug West, but the man who was open was Scotty Roth. And Scott Roth has got to keep his head up and keep his eyes open, because that was a good pass.
5.5 minutes remaining in the 2nd quarter of play, and Royal will pick up the foul going up against King. That's a mess. That's a mess right there that they don't want to get involved with. I mean, because Royal's much smaller than Stacey King.
Well, that's the flip side of having a small lineup in where you expect to find some mismatches in your advantage, is when you come down on the other end. The Bulls, if they play a good half-court game, will make you pay with the big guys.
King gets the first free throw. He's the Big 8 Player of the Year in the Sporting News College Player of the Year a year ago. Timeout taken, 5:27, 2nd quarter of play. Bulls lead it 35-34 from Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Winning.
35-34. Stacey King, one of the more versatile big men in the NBA right now, out of Enid, Oklahoma.
Well, as a consensus All-American, he came in with a lot of promise, and In the first couple of games, he had a little difficulty scoring. Went 0 for 9 last night against Detroit. He came up with a solid game. He's got a tough job because he's expected to come in and play right away. 2 positions, power forward and backing up Bill Cartwright at center, since Will Perdue hasn't come around the way they wanted to, and he seems to be starting to round into the positions.
Low is out. They're going to pressure the youngster Richardson. Here's Royal slicing his way off the Roth.
Well, you can see the disappointment on Scott Roth's face and in his actions, congratulating Donald Royal on a great pass, but those are the kinds of things you have to do. You've got to finish these shots. Royal with a nice dish off, and Roth just lost concentration. Fortunately, he was fouled. He gets an opportunity on the line.
Field goal shooting so far in the game, Wolves 42%. And Chicago 44%, virtually even right there. Rebounds for the game, 23 for Minnesota, 20 for Chicago. Turnovers, 6 for the Wolves, 4 for the Bulls. Second free throw will not drop. See, they're going to be on youngster Pooh Richardson. They were double teaming him near midcourt. We're going to be watching that now. Next couple of plays down. Here's the throwaway by Chicago. Pick off by Roth. One-on-one. Takes it himself. Foul called on the play. Doug West came into no place and draws the loose ball foul.
Well, Scott Roth on the drive right there got kind of caught on the wrong side of the basket. He's not very adept with his right hand. Came on the right side, tried to use his left hand and lost control of it. But it's a good hustle foul there by Doug West to follow up. Those are the kind of fouls coaches don't mind.
West on Pippen. Here's Neely around Roth. 2 CBA teammates for Albany. Corbin knocks it out of Jordan's hand. Michael Jordan has just put in 6 points.
But I really think it's the game plan more so than his inability to get anything done.
Michael launches and hits. Now it's a 3-point lead, 38-35 for the Chicago Bulls. Richardson, started by Paxson. On the wing for Royal. Splits the defense to the hole. Now Royal will go to the free throw line, and a personal foul called inside on Chicago.
I tell you, Donald Royal does have the knack of getting to the basket, albeit from that part of the floor on the wing area. Coming down the middle is somewhat of a no-no. The Wolves have spread the court pretty much, so if a Chicago Bull would like to step closer to the middle to help out, he could be called for an illegal defense. So in that respect, the Wolves again are executing nicely on defense, and they've just got to find a way to complete some of those plays for 3-point plays.
Didn't mean to leave you hanging on Chicago's foul, but they never announced it. Here on the other side of the official score, so we'll see if we can update you on that momentarily. There's a foul on Chicago, and it goes by Royal. They'll bring this team within 1 point of Chicago. Haley with the ball. Paxson up high. There's the tip. There's the movement. Here's Pippen to Paxson. Good passing by Chicago. Well, they got the guy open, didn't they?
And they certainly did, and the man who got him open was Michael Jordan with a nice pick down there for Paxson to pop off.
Paxson with 5. Chicago by 3. He's passing the 4-minute mark of the first half. On the baseline, Royals hemmed in. He's called for the travel violation against Donald Royal. That's when that double teaming really pays dividends, doesn't it?
Yep, and it's also when judgment also comes into it. Donald Royal making the drive, having the spin, has got to know now that they're going to double him. He's, again, got to be cognizant of his teammates on the weak side.
Pippen by West to crash into Roth. Roth will pick up the personal foul. Roth is a gutty player, isn't he? He will stand in the way of just about anybody.
Well, he's a guy who recognizes his limitations. There, Pippen goes around Doug West, and Scott Roth knows he's not going to get up and block any shot, so he tries to do the next best thing and take the offensive foul. Just a step too late getting over there.
They say Scottie Pippen's got to be more aggressive for this team. Agree or disagree?
Well, he's a smooth player. You don't want a player to come out of character and try to do more than he's capable of doing. When you say aggressive, there may be some things. He might be able to stick his nose into the offensive frame, grab some offensive rebounds. But I think right now, the management for the Chicago Bulls has to be happy with the way Scottie Pippen has complimented Michael Jordan as an inside and outside threat. He's even taken over some games when Michael Jordan hasn't been up to par, which is few and far between, but it's necessary.
Campbell checks in. Royal will check out. Richardson is hounded by Paxson. 12 seconds to shoot. This is one of the complaints you had up in Seattle, that they don't get their offense quick enough. Here's West. 5 seconds to shoot. Here's Pooh, splits the defense, kicks it outside. Here's Todd. Pippen collects the loose ball off the glass. Wolves lead 41-37, 4-point lead. Approaching the 3-minute mark of the second quarter. Haley shuffles, shoots, misses. Inside, Pippen comes up with it. Another offensive rebound for the Bulls. He misses the follow-up shot. Here's West off the boot. Slow it down. Campbell may have been open on that wing, but I think Richardson playing a bit tentative. And how do you feel if you're Pooh Richardson with Jordan coming out on you on top?
Well, not only that, but he was handling the ball right in front of the coach, and at this point in his career, he didn't want to make a mistake and throw it too far beyond Tony Campbell's reach.
Wolves, Lenny, are not getting the shot off as quickly as they did. Lenny, are not getting the shot off as quickly as they did in the first quarter of play, meaning that 24-second shot clock is winding down, and they're shooting maybe with 3-4 seconds remaining on it.
And the defense is tougher right now. They're overplaying the passing areas, forcing another option, which eats time off the clock. And when they finally get a shot, it's usually not the shot that they want, but a shot that they have to take from outside, and that's not going to do well for their field goal percentage.
There's a nice hook into Jordan from Pippen. Oh, what a shot by Michael Jordan! Folks, that's what we're talking about.
We're not going to describe it. No, we're just going to let you look at it.
Just watch and enjoy, folks.
All in a day's work.
He finishes the three-point play. 44-37 Chicago. 2:12 remaining before halftime. Tom Hanneman has the halftime scoreboard for you. It features and some interviews. Stay tuned for that. We see some full court pressure now by Chicago. We saw this up in Seattle.
Well, this is what's slowing down the offense somewhat. The Wolves, once they beat the pressure, are really hesitant to take it and make the back line of the Bulls pay. They know they're going to. Bulls know that the Wolves are going to come out and start their half-court offense, and they started with not as much time on the clock as they'd like on the shot clock.
Roth and Neely were teammates in the CBA. A pass from Pooh to Doug West. Rookie to rookie. He missed it. Jordan collects it.
Perimeter game's not working for the Wolves right now.
Coast to coast, Jordan feeds into Haley. We're going to have a jump ball between West and Haley. In a normal game, Michael Jordan would be near maybe, 25, 30 points at halftime, but they have used him very sparingly. Again, we remind you that they played last night, as you see the substitution, Roth out, Lohaus coming in. They played last night, these Bulls did, in a very emotional, heated game against the Detroit Pistons.
And again, you don't want to wear anyone down. You don't want to, seems to be a problem right here on the tip, but you don't want to wear timeout here. You don't want to wear your players down coming after a win like that. It's too early in the season. They feel they've got a deep enough bench to go against the Timberwolves as they are.
1:41 before halftime. Chicago 44, Wolves 37. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves Television Basketball Network.
Gold makes men do what?
Chicago leads by 7. This is their biggest lead, or at least equals their biggest lead tonight. They led at one time 27-20 earlier in the contest. Coca-Cola Family Section tickets for most upcoming Timberwolves home games are still available for just $3.50. Now bring the coupon from specially marked Coca-Cola products to any Ticketmaster location. Get your Timberwolves tickets for the lowest price in the NBA. Great crowd tonight, 35,000 plus. We've got a jump ball. Jordan gets the tip for the Chicago Bulls. Both teams shooting poorly here in the second quarter of play as Paxson works on Richardson. Good pick by Neely. That opens up room. There's the pop and the miss by Paxson. It's off of Minnesota.
And Kevin, just commenting on the shooting percentages a bit. Of course, both teams, just like most teams in the NBA, hate to play in these cavernous type of dome stadiums because it kind of throws your shot off, the depth perception and the backdrop.
Haley, nice move.
Haley didn't seem to have any problem with it, not from 6 feet at least.
9-point lead for Chicago, biggest lead of the night.
You know, another thing about these arenas is that you don't have the intimacy for the home crowd. This crowd may be into the game, and it's as close as people may have thought it might be, but they can't really get excited, can't get the team excited.
Campbell, I don't think, has scored a point in the second quarter after putting 17 in that first quarter of play. Here's Jordan looking right, moving left, shooting top of the key. Oh, Campbell came down hard. It'll be a jump ball as Neely went down to get involved with Campbell.
Well, actually, Haley was already on the ground. Campbell goes up for the rebound, comes down on top of Haley, and Neely kind of sandwiched Tony Campbell and tied him up.
Campbell will go against Neely, two CBA refugees now in the NBA. One a star, one a role player.
Well, actually, Tony Campbell became a star this year. He certainly was a role player for the Los Angeles Lakers last
But
year.
in the finals, he made a name for himself, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Here's Jordan with the final 40 seconds on the clock. Missing, getting his own board. Dribble, lead, lays it up, and in Michael Jordan shows the magic that makes him the best in the NBA.
And the Timberwolves showed a lack of awareness of Michael Jordan after he shot. No blockout.
Wolves trail by 11. We're down to 27 seconds remaining in the first half. Campbell quicker, moves on Neely. Cross-court feed, open as Coop. Fakes the three. Jordan converts. In the corner. Here's Dougie West. Paxson wanted to feed down court. Pippen was open, but instead he hits Michael in mid-flight. Rejected by West. Well, you're not going to see that much. Down court. 3-on-2. Campbell to the hole. Yo-ho-ho! Roll it on in, brother.
And you hear the crowd again. They're into the game, but it's really hard to get that rousing kind of cheering. This place is too big.
So you hear the buzzer, and we are through at the first half. Tony Campbell has put in 17 points so far in this first half of play. And we are at halftime, and the Chicago Bulls lead this contest 48-39 at the end of one quarter of play. Chicago is on top, 29-24. Let's talk about tempo. Let's talk about some of the things the Wolves tried to accomplish in that first half of play, but I know that tempo was very important.
Well, the tempo was in the Wolves' favor in the beginning in the first quarter, but as they substituted, they kind of played more of a loose type of game into Chicago's hands. Chicago exploited on some breaks.
All right, Tom Hanneman, 48-39 is the halftime score. Let's send it to you.
Okay, Kevin, we have a very busy halftime show on tap. We're going to talk about the Miller Lite. What's on tap tonight? Well, we've got a full load of things this evening, starting off with a conversation with NBA Commissioner David Stern. We'll talk about the Wolves and their future. Later, some of the best-known players in the NBA will offer advice for Timberwolves fans on year number 1. And, of course, we'll have scores from around the NBA tonight, along with highlights from the Orlando Magic's first win. All that and more coming up at the half. Again, our score at the half right now, Chicago 48, the Wolves 39. Exciting first half here for the Timberwolves, who trail the Bulls at the break. Anyone watching tonight's game realizes that the Wolves are going to lose a great deal of games this year. If you had a chance to talk to NBA fans or NBA names, the big ones around the league, about the Wolves this year, and you question what should we expect, what would the answer be? Well, I had that chance, and I talked to some of the big names. Here's the answer they gave.
I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised with the way Bill Musselman runs the team. I know Bill a little bit, and I really feel that he's going to do a fantastic job for them.
Well, I mean, they have to be patient. I don't think that the team is going to win right away. And, it's going to be exciting, though. I hope the arena, the atmosphere is like in Charlotte. And I haven't been to Miami yet, but I hope it's like in Charlotte. The crowd's all into it. It's sold out every night. And I hope it'll be the same way.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot to look forward to. You know, the NBA is on a big run right now. It's very popular. There's going to be a lot of exciting players coming to the city of Minneapolis. We've heard a lot of good things about the city itself, especially about the people there. And so, as opposing teams, we're excited to come to a new place.
I'm looking forward to coming to Minnesota and playing. I played in the Big Ten with Indiana. Whenever we came to play the Gophers, there was always an exciting game. The fans were always great. I'm looking forward to hanging out in Minneapolis. Plus, I got a good friend there that I went to high school with. Hi, Ernie.
So the people there just got to be a little bit patient with them. It's like having a newborn, you know. You got to learn how to crawl before you can walk, and you got to run. It's going to take a while.
In short, the advice, be patient. We're honored to be joined at halftime by the NBA Commissioner David Stern. And David, your thoughts here after the first half at home for the Timberwolves?
I think it's a pretty close game. It looks like the Timberwolves basket has a lid on it on some of the easy shots, but those are going to get easier to make as the year goes on.
There were a number of people, even a year ago, that questioned whether NBA basketball would work here in Minnesota, and I guess you look around and the proof is there.
I think if you take a first-class city, which the Twin Cities are, and you give them good management and ownership, which the Wolves have, in the current climate of the NBA, we're going to do okay.
I know you take great pride in the way expansion has gone the past 2 years. Certainly last year with Charlotte was outstanding. Here in Minnesota and in Orlando as well.
And in Miami last year, there were lots of questions initially. Are we going to drag the league down? Maybe the existing teams don't like to hear it, but I think that the 4 expansion teams are dragging the league up. I think they set examples. They've got examples of marketing, management, being part of the community. I think they've made the NBA a much stronger league, and I'm doubly proud of it.
Over the last 10 years, the league has really solidified its place. It's gotten stronger and stronger and more entertaining. You can take great pride in that, and a lot of people credit you for that, David.
Well, they're overly generous. We have peace with our players. Very important, that partnership relationship. We've got a good anti-drug program with our players, and we've got strong ownership. Harvey Ratner, Marv Wolfenson are just typical of what's going on. Once you got that and these players, the rest becomes easy.
Becomes easy. It's a lot of fun here tonight, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us here at the half.
You're going to get 41 nights of great entertainment, seeing the best athletes. Thanks for having me.
David Stern, NBA Commissioner. When we come back, highlights, and we'll talk about the other games going around in the NBA tonight. Stay with us. And back at the Metrodome, where at the half, the Chicago Bulls hold a 48-39 lead over the Timberwolves. For highlights and analysis now, let's send it to Len and Kevin.
Okay, Tom, thank you very much. Here in the home opener in the inaugural season for the Timberwolves, we've got a 48-39 lead for the Chicago Bulls. It was a 5-point Chicago lead at the end of the first quarter of play. Some of your thoughts on that first half?
Well, in the first quarter, the Timberwolves were playing exactly the way they wanted to. They controlled the tempo, made it a half-court game where each team came down and had to execute their half-court offense. I believe that's what Bill Musselman feels his team is strongest. And when they did that, they got the ball to Tony Campbell, and he could do things that he hadn't done in the first 2 games, but things that had been expected of him. On the other end, offensively, the Bulls, Michael Jordan was kind of quiet, but he was effective. Didn't seem to want to get involved in the offense too much, dishing the ball to different people, particularly his inside men, Cartwright and Stacey King. But once they got established, as the half wore on, Michael Jordan started to make his presence felt.
Let's get some of these highlights in because there were some fantastic plays, and Michael Jordan was about as spectacular as you could imagine. Michael Jordan with a great play down low early in the game.
Well, what happens is once he doesn't get the ball initially to start something, you got to be aware of him getting open and his teammates finding him. On that particular play, there's not a thing that even all 12 Timberwolves could have done.
Jordan 15, Pippen with 8, rebounding leaders, King with 5 assists. Johnny Paxson has set it up well with 5 assists. And now for the Timberwolves.
Well, not often will you see Michael Jordan get a shot blocked, but in this instance, not only does Doug West do a nice job of blocking it, he keeps it in play, which is the essence of effective shot blocking. And then in the transition game, Tony Campbell, the same person that we spoke about earlier, who had to get off that slump and get started, does a nice job of taking the ball in and scoring. He's got his confidence back.
17 for Campbell, 5 for Roth, and in the rebounding category, you see Murphy has corralled 6, and Sidney Lowe has set things up with 4 playmaking activities here in the first half of play. You know, when you take a look at Sidney Lowe and what he means on the floor, it is so drastically different than Pooh Richardson. Richardson is a rookie trying to come in and establish himself, whereas Sidney Lowe is the kind of guy that really has things in command. But he left with a shoulder injury, and it looked like a bruised lower back midway through that first half.
Well, if you recognize the plan, though, Pooh Richardson, the first-round draft pick, is the point guard of the future. Sidney Lowe, the point guard of now. Richardson's progress is just going to have to be pushed that much quicker. These are the types of games that's going to do that, give him some experience in running a team and just not running a fast break and creating for himself.
Some of the team statistics, you see the free throw percentages, basically 16-point difference right there. Chicago has been much more effective from the line, 80-64 from the field. Again, the Bulls showing much more prowess, 44-38 rebounding category. Again, favoring Chicago, 33-25. And the Wolves uncharacteristically have turned it over 3 more times than Chicago. That's a statistic which has really been in favor of Minnesota in the first 2 games, that turnover category.
Well, again, the loss of Sidney Lowe may have something to do with it. The fact that the Timberwolves started to play an up-tempo game also affects it.
Here's Corbin guarded by Jordan. Now to Pooh, guarded by Johnny Paxson. Campbell looking up high, looking down low. 4 seconds to shoot. It's out to Lohaus. He pops the 3 and misses. Jordan lost the ball. It's off his hands, off Chicago. A fresh 24. Minnesota inbounds.
And as we caught a glimpse of the field goal percentages, see Chicago with 44% and Minnesota with 38. And the only difference in that is the fact that Chicago was able to get the ball inside a little more. Both teams affected by, again, this cavernous dome stadium. No team likes to shoot outside in stadiums like these.
Bank shot by Pooh will drop. Yeah, there is a difference, isn't it? The depth perception, I guess, is affected, isn't it?
That's correct. And a lot of teams may resort to what Pooh Richardson did and use that backboard. That backboard's your best friend if you get the right angle.
Here's Jordan, not throwing to King, but up high instead to Pippen, off to Saxon. And a pass which is picked off by Tyrone. Keeps his balance. He floats and puts it in.
Nice presence of mind and overplaying the passing lane by Tyrone Corbin.
Michael Jordan foul. Will go to the line to try to complete the 3-point play, and Tyrone Corbin will pick up the foul for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Cardinal sin, though, Kevin. Even if it is Michael Jordan, you do not foul the jump shooter.
No, there really is no limit to Michael Jordan. Not only on the court, but off as well. He's making $8 million this year. He gets 2.5 from the Bulls. He makes another couple million from Nike and McDonald's and Coca-Cola and Wheaties, and he's making a bunch. 18 for Michael Jordan so far. Campbell spins into Pippen, fakes off the Lohaus after the pick, hooks it off to Pooh. 8 seconds to shoot. Tyrone ends up with it. Cartwright climbs the ladder for the Bulls.
Pooh Richardson had an opportunity for a jump shot, as he did in the first half, and his problem is he doesn't want to pull the trigger. He's a little hesitant. He's got to be a threat.
King out to Jordan. Corbin is on him. 10 seconds to shoot. Jordan will pop it and hit.
Now you see the Wolves seem to want to sag on Michael Jordan. They want to test his jump shot. Michael Jordan seems to be up to the task.
Jordan with 20. Richardson in the very congested lane, trying to feed. Ball knocked away and off of Minnesota. There's Bill Musselman. A lot of these guys in the CBA, including Ed Neely of the Chicago Bulls.
We see Bill Musselman exhorting his players, clapping his hands, saying, come on, let's pick it up. That's because he's recognized that the Bulls may have picked it up just a notch. They don't want this to be as close a game as it is, and they've decided to come out here running a little more, extending the floor a little more, getting the ball to Michael Jordan.
Here's Cartwright. Paxson is open because the double team was down low on Cartwright, and that's why Paxson was free. Pooh went to converge on the defense, and left open Paxson. 55-43, Chicago by 12. Campbell and Pippen. Campbell from the line.
That was great defense by Scottie Pippen. Even though to Tony Campbell's right it was wide open for a drive, Pippen took that right away and forced him to the left where all his help was. That's a sign of a good defender. He makes you go where he wants you to go.
Knocked away by Corbin. Up court the Wolves. Pooh, the trailing Campbell. Twisting, turning, shooting. Misses. Wolves will inbound. An odd fast break, wasn't it? Kind of some trouble getting gear.
Well, you know, that's the responsibility of the point guard, the team, to get it into his hands and let him lead the break and put everyone where they belong.
Lohaus misses. It grazed the glass. Ricocheted to the side. Picked up by Ty. He moves and loses it. Again, it's off Chicago. 12-point lead for the Bulls. 9:01, third quarter.
Kevin, defensively, both teams seem to have made an adjustment. The only problem is it's the Bulls' adjustment that's working. The Wolves have seen to back off of the Bulls, particularly the guards, and give them the 24-footer, and they've been burying it with consistency. On the other hand, though, the Bulls on defense have sagged inside, started overplaying the passing lanes a little bit better, and taking away the strong hands of people like Tony Campbell and forcing them to settle for jump shots outside, which hasn't really helped in the cause here.
Wolves keep it alive. Roth, who just took the J, missed, is in for Lohaus. Wolves are full shooting to begin this third quarter. Shot clock down to 9, and Richardson in front of the veteran Paxson. To Roth. Good move by Cartwright. inside Murphy. Hesitates, and he draws the foul out of the defense of Chicago.
Good ball movement there. Nice look by Scott Roth inside.
You think of the way this Minnesota offense runs down that shot clock. We touched on it in the first half, but boy, I tell you what, it's something that has become a trademark offensively of this team.
Well, if you can wind up with a shot such as the one that Todd Murphy had off of a nice pass by Scott Roth, you got something accomplished. But all too often, when they run it down, and I'm talking of the Wolves, when they run it down, they've started it too late. So now they've gotten options that aren't the ones that they really need that late in the stage of the clock. They're taking long jump shots. They're not getting the inside play that they so sorely need. It's either going to get them a basket or get them to the free throw line.
Dave Airplane has gone on the floor. Murphy at the line. Out there is Corbin, Murphy, Roth, Pooh Richardson, and Tony Campbell. Murphy again. 8:34, third quarter. It is down 55-44. Here's Michael Jordan, and Corbin is on him. He's drawn that assignment defensively tonight. Lob over the defense. Paxson, it's Cartwright. Back to Paxson because Pooh went down low. Here's the jumper, which is open. No good. King inside, making a shuffle move, and a whistle blows in the paint.
Now, on that particular play, I'm going to disagree with the call to a certain extent. I know you can't hit the ball as it comes off the backboard, but that ball had no shot of hitting the rim, and that really shouldn't be basket interference or defensive goaltending, but it was called anyway.
And the two for the Bulls, 57-44 Chicago. They lead by 13, their largest lead of the night. Richardson above the arc. Roth working his side. Rebound Chicago again. Cartwright 3-on-1. Paxson to Michael. Makes a cut on Pooh. Knocked away by Richardson. Nice move by the young rookie, but he draws the foul. I guess it was an open two, so why not take that chance?
Well, here Richardson recognizes he's overmatched. He takes a swipe anyway, and I'll tell you, that's pretty close. In a couple of years, when he establishes himself, he might get away with one of those.
How many breaks does a rookie get from the referees in the NBA? That was first year, second year? Any?
Not many. Let me tell you, not many, particularly against the established star. And here you have King of the Hill against, even though Pooh Richardson is a first-round draft choice, but albeit for an expansion team, you're going to not get very many breaks against Michael Jordan.
The crowd is quiet, isn't it?
Well, even when they make noise, they're quiet. Again, because this place is so large, it seems to absorb the cheering.
Jordan has 22. Bulls lead by 15. Clock at 7:42, third quarter. Of the arc, Corbin, led by Michael Jordan. Campbell open with a three. King comes out of traffic, pickpocketed by Murphy. In the paint to Campbell, a jumper over Cartwright.
With Cartwright on Campbell, that's another mismatch. But the first shot Campbell took, he should exercise a little patience, get it back out, and get the ball in where he can move around Cartwright. That was such a sag, he couldn't do anything about it.
King with some agility in the paint, puts up a shot against smaller defenders. It'll not work, and Richardson comes dribbling out of traffic, and a foul called. It'll be on Pippen of Chicago.
You can't really fault Pooh Richardson for trying to be a little aggressive and run the ball up. They haven't had much luck on offense, again, because people have been sagging, and there's not much they can do but shoot the jump shots, and when they're not hitting the jump shots, it's not really helping. So you got to move the ball, penetrate a little bit, and create some easier shots.
Pippen with 4 personal fouls. Campbell against Jordan. Campbell makes a move to the right. In traffic, he put up a shot. Saved by Chicago, back to Campbell, and an easy two.
Well, even though you're a rookie, that's unpardonable there. You don't save the ball under the other team's basket, and Stacey King did just that.
Michael Jordan hooks it across the lane to Paxson. Into Cartwright, follow away. Still not dropped. There's a nice rebound by Corbin. Wolves trying to pick up the tempo of this game a bit. Roth from 15. How are the Wolves trying to get this team back in their realm? We'll talk about that when we come back, as the timeout has been quickly taken by the Minnesota Timberwolves. 59-48 Chicago, 6:21 in the third quarter. Watching the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Next time on an all-new episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, Geordi is missing in action on a dying planet.
Geordi! Mr. Wolf, launch the probe.
A violent storm blocks the crew's desperate search to find him.
Will he survive? I can't see!
And his fate lies with the enemy.
You're my prisoner!
On the next all-new episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
6 p.m. Saturday on Red River TV.
Gold makes men do unlikely things.
I take only what I set out to get.
Men will change for gold.
I know what gold does to men's souls.
Men will fight for gold.
You're the police. Where are your badges? I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Because men will gamble their lives for a fortune. Humphrey Bogart and Walter Houston in his Oscar-winning role. John Huston's The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, a special color presentation.
Sunday night at 10:30 on the Red River Late Movie.
Sunday.
She's a kleptomaniac and a pathological liar.
He has 72 hours to bring in a state witness.
What could go wrong?
It's supposed to be easy,
Just a safe trip home.
Yeah, that's the deal.
but someone wants her dead.
A nice start, Fonzie.
You folks newlyweds or something?
Actually, I'm a sex slave.
You should have let him find us and kill us.
Booker,
You're crazy, you know that?
he's got the fast lane all to himself.
Sunday night at 6 on Red River TV.
Even in the euchre seats, they're watching and asking, Michael who? I'll tell you what, Michael Jordan is starting to push it up a notch here in the second half. Here come the Chicago Bulls, and Jordan has it, and Corbin is on him. What a move. King dribbles, shoots, misses. Inside, Campbell comes out. 59-48, Chicago just passing the 6-minute mark. Lowe is out here in the third quarter of play. Richardson is in. Lowe has an injury, so the rookie must carry this team from the point. Roth, 17.
And again, we're back to the half-court offense that exploits mismatches. Stacey King cannot get out there and guard Scott Roth, so Scott Roth can shoot at will.
Jackson looks for the open guy. Instead, he feeds up high to Cartwright, who's got the smaller Murphy on him. Davis in the game now. Inside to King. Knocked away. Here's the transition. Pooh. He's got trailers. He takes it himself.
And that's the kind of guard Pooh Richardson is. He's great in a full-court type of game with his quickness and penetration ability.
Richardson with 4. Here's the run. Down by 7, the Wolves. Davis on the side.
Well, defensively right now, they've really got to deny, particularly inside, because that's where the Bulls want to go.
Cartwright. This is from long distance. That's not his shot, is it?
No, it's not. It's uncharacteristic of a savvy pro like Billy Cartwright.
Nice dish. Him. Murphy. Inside. King comes up with a clutch board for Chicago as they try to put out the fire. Here's the alley-oop. Knocked away by Roth. Intended for Jordan.
Good defense. Scott Roth staying between.
The banker.
And comes back down and scores. It's a type of play that could turn into a 4-point turnaround, and it did. Roth steals the ball on one end and hustles down and scores the basket on the other.
Roth has come off the bench for 9. Wolves down 59-54. 4.5 minutes, third quarter. Inside, a pass to King. Off his hands. It's the Wolves basketball.
As we mentioned, you have to deny the pass inside at this a crucial juncture of the game. Scott Roth does a nice job of flicking the ball away as the big man put it on the floor.
Wolves on a 6-0 run here in the last 2 minutes. Richardson has sped this tempo up a little bit, hasn't he?
Well, the Bulls have bigger but slower players up front, and again, he's a good full-court type of guard who can run it down and penetrate a bit when necessary.
9 seconds to shoot. Here's the 3. Murphy comes out of the jungle.
And the other thing is that tenacity and the desire on the offensive board.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just passing the 4-minute mark, and the Wolves are on an 8-0 run, and they're within 3 points. Moments ago, they were down by 15. 59-56. 3-point lead. Chicago with it. Jordan with it to Davis atop the key. Little out drop. Another rebound. Here's Richardson weaving his way by traffic to the trailing Rock to the hole. Here comes Chicago. Jordan gallops on the side. Into 2. Pass knocked away by Richardson. It's a one-on-one. He goes. He hands. It's Campbell. In, up, and down! Minnesota to within 1, and a standing ovation at the Dome. Tony Campbell has put in 23, and this place is going crazy. 3:19 remaining in the third quarter. Chicago 59, the Timberwolves 58.
he was the new kid in town. But he wasn't accepted.
I gotta take karate, that's it.
Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio. His only ally is a master who will prepare him for the challenge of his life. He became the Karate Kid.
Friday night on the Red River 8 o'clock movie.
Monday. Are you dating that Tinkinese woman, George? Is it Kathy? George. I like Kathy. Everything you wanted to know about aliens.
Where you're touching me on my back. That's an erogenous zone.
But we're afraid to ask.
A newcomer woman really needs two men to,
fertilize her egg, yes.
Will you be coming to the coupling tonight, Matthew?
Sometimes it takes 3 to tango. Any more of this and I'll need a hot shower.
Monday night at 8 on Red River TV.
As of the September 10th broadcast of America's Most Wanted, viewer phone tips have resulted in the capture of 65 fugitives. One call to Texas authorities led to the arrest of Michael Lee Price, a convicted rapist, just 17 hours after America's Most Wanted aired his story. Another viewer recognized this tattoo on murder suspect Thomas Dixon. 2 days later, he was in police custody. It only works when you watch.
Sunday night at 7 on Red River TV.
Transition by the Wolves after great defensive plays.
Well, Pooh Richardson, who's taking over for Sidney Lowe here and running the show, shows a spark defensively as well as offensively. Passed up a nice layup, but still Tony Campbell got the ball and laid it in, and that's what's happened right now. The Wolves have picked it up a notch defensively.
Cartwright inside, he gets his loose ball. About ready to say he misses, and the Wolves are going to retaliate with a nice board, but Cartwright stayed spacious inside. 61-58. Chicago leads, just passing the 3-minute mark of this third quarter.
Phil Jackson for the Bulls made an adjustment. B.J. Armstrong now to play Pooh Richardson outside.
Watch it, folks. Here it comes, the highlight film. They came tonight in a sellout fashion, as much to see that as they came to cheer on their Wolves. 24 for Jordan.
And again, a young team without the experience. You got to meet the ball.
Tony Campbell. Nice play by Tony Campbell. Wolves to within 3. Campbell with 25. B.J. Armstrong over the defense. Tony Campbell at the other end answering Michael Jordan's breakaway slam with this play.
Well, even though the Wolves gave up the big play to Michael Jordan on the steal, Tony Campbell comes back, recognizing he had a mismatch and keeping presence of mind to know that his team needed a basket. He didn't settle for the jumper on that one.
Haley trying to shed Roth, throws an elbow, no call made. Here's Haley into Roth, leans, shoots, foul, Chicago.
Actually called traveling. Great defense by Scott Roth inside. He held his ground. Haley faked but shuffled his feet.
2 rookies head-to-head. Richardson against Armstrong.
Well, you got to believe that Phil Jackson thinks John Paxson is just not quick enough to guard Pooh Richardson.
Right down the tip back. What a pass by Pooh.
And what a pick on the weak side for Tyrone Corbin to rub his man off of and get open in the middle. Good execution.
8 for Corbin. He started tonight. He has been guarding Jordan every stride. Wolves down by a point, 63-62. 1.5 remaining. There's a steal by Corbin. He runs into the referee, keeps the ball. Here he goes to the hole. Armstrong catches onto the ball.
Tough luck, but you can see Tyrone Corbin hustling every bit on defense. Again, overplaying Michael Jordan.
Defensives picked up in the second half of the Wolves. Jordan inside. It's up and no. Good transition again. I sure like Corbin's defense against Jordan tonight.
And again, you step into the passing lane. You got to keep Michael Jordan from getting the ball. Tough break by hitting official Lee Jones. May have cost the Timberwolves a bucket because Tyrone Corbin, if he had that step that bumping into the official cost him, probably could have gone straight in for the layup instead of a reverse.
Jordan hits the point. 5 of 5 now from the line. He has 25 for the night. 26 for the night. 6 of 6 from the line. Michael Jordan. 3-point lead for the Bulls. Here comes Minnesota. 1:08 remaining in the third quarter. Again, the 2 rookies head-to-head. Campbell to Corbin, ordered by Davis. Into Pooh, in the land of the Giants.
That's that dimension Richardson gives you that maybe Sidney Lowe doesn't right now, and that's some offensive ability.
Davis. BJ knocked away by Campbell. Foul Tony Campbell. He was just being aggressive up top, isn't he?
Well, that's what you have to do right now. You're down. You're in the situation where you're trying to make a run the end of the third period. And if you have an opportunity to gamble, you can go for it. Still got time. You're only down 1 point.
Will Musselman. That, by the way, was the first time he's sat down all night.
He's back up again.
BJ Armstrong. You know, BJ was taking a buddy up to the top of the Sears Tower in Chicago. They charge him for the 14 and under rate, $250. Armstrong with his first point right there. Pulls the Bulls on top by 2. Make it 3. 67-64 Chicago. 40 seconds remaining in this third quarter. Good pick by Murphy. That's 4-2 Murphy. Tyrone's open in the circle. Going to go back to Chicago. 28 seconds, third quarter.
On the side.
These are all good shots right now that the Wolves are getting out of their offense. They've just got to put some of them down.
Corbin's 3 of 12 from the field, so he has not been very hot whatsoever. 20 on the shot clock and 23 on the big clock. Difference of 3 seconds. He's going to back off now after getting the Musselman instruction. Shot clock to 8.
Look at the pin down. Davis pinning down to Jordan.
2 seconds to shoot. Michael. 3 seconds remaining in this quarter. Off by midcourt. Down to tenths of a second. And Jordan putting in 28 points. That is the international clock you see in the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. Half a second remaining. Haley at the buzzer. Raises iron. We are through 3 quarters of play from Minneapolis, St. Paul. Let's go to the fourth. And the score, Chicago 69, Minnesota 64 on the Timberwolves television network.
Winning the Northland over.
Whether I'm running downtown or driving in the country, I need a vehicle that can do double duty, a pickup. Now, I looked at Chevy, but when my Ford dealer showed me Ford Ranger, there was no comparison. Powerful V6, a bigger payload, a lower price, and it's loaded. Power steering, stereo cassette, I even got the sport wheels free.
Right now, save over $2,200 on 1990 Rangers.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
For over 40 years, satisfied customers have relied on the professional staff of LTP Enterprises, Inc. to solve their water well problems. With a combined total of almost 200 years of experience, LTP offers you the best in drilling, repair, service, and rejuvenation of wells throughout a 5-state region, plus sales and service of virtually every pump on the market today. A reputation like the one LTP enjoys today is built on a solid past. Whatever your water problem is, call LTP Enterprises, Inc. toll free at 1-800-347-0090.
Okay, Joe, time to take 5.
Time for some Wrigley Spearmint Gum.
Professor, does this always happen?
What?
He's thinking Wrigley Spearmint is pure chewing satisfaction. It's cool and refreshing.
Ooh.
The chewing enjoyment goes on and on.
It can only mean one thing.
What?
A Wrigley Spearmint is pure chewing satisfaction. They read my mind. Wrigley Spearmint is pure chewing satisfaction.
The living is easy at Greystone Manor. Heat paid and a full security system. For more information, call Van Raden Homes.
Well, with 3 seconds left at the end of the quarter, Michael Jordan sets a little back pick on Tony Campbell, and that frees him up. And like great players around the league, he has a nose for the time and an eye for the basket. And right at the buzzer, actually with a half second left, Michael Jordan goes up with his patented tongue out of his mouth jump shot.
Lonnie, we've had some atrocious field goal shooting in this game. Chicago 30% and the Wolves 27%.
A fairly low scoring in each quarter. And again, that's got to be attributable to the fact that this is a new court for both of these teams. Field goal shooting, particularly from the perimeter, is difficult because, as we mentioned before, the depth perception has a lot to do with that.
Armstrong will take on Richardson. Here's Michael Jordan to Haley. Armstrong over two. Knocked off Chicago.
Wolves getting back to the fundamentals that they utilized so well in the first quarter. Nice blockouts there. Todd Murphy had an opportunity to get the rebound and slapped away by Charles Davis. What you see right now is Tony Campbell stretching the net because the ball seems to be slow coming out of the net. You may not think that's important, but when a team wants to get the ball after a basket out of bounds real quickly and put it in play quickly enough, you want it just to come right out, take it, and throw it rather than have to fumble with it as it comes out of the net.
You're not going to see a better picture of the net than you just saw right there. They want Michael Jordan to get up there, maybe hang on it a minute. Michael says, wait a minute. It's not my contract. Lenny watching in the Wolves, a team that is trying to get matchups at all times and just on the fly. Also watching a team that is trying to take Chicago out of their game. But the thing is, Chicago is so multifaceted, multi-tiered, they can adapt pretty much to any situation, can't they?
Well, they can, but fundamentally, though, they still have to start their offenses with passes into the wing area, into the post. And by denying those passes, you put an awful lot of pressure on an offense because now they've got to look to their second and third options. That's cutting time off the clock. It's making people impatient, forcing people to do some things they're not accustomed to doing. And the Timberwolves, over the last 6 to 8 minutes, have done a great job of that, creating turnovers and converting them.
Well, our first glitch of the evening is the maintenance crew from the Dome re-stringing cotton net in the vacuum. You can see there in the upper right-hand portion of your screen breakaway mechanism. Before, there was no breakaway mechanism, and that was just a... All there was just a very strong steel cable there, which did not give any give to it. Lenny, you played when they began that breakaway. There's some give to that rim, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was called a man, Darryl Dawkins, who started
in Kansas City.
Exactly.
In Kansas City. Michael Jordan has, of course, catapulted himself to greatness in the NBA. He's played less than 5 full seasons, but already he's closing in on the Chicago scoring record. He has reached the 10,000-point mark faster than any player other than Wilt Chamberlain. He has averaged about 35 points a game while leading the league in scoring the last 3 years.
You got to believe, even though at some point early in his career, Michael Jordan missed almost a full season because of his foot injury, you can't really expect him to be anywhere higher than he is right now, but he is. It's an amazing feat.
8 seconds to shoot. Roth is trying to penetrate. Foul called. Haley the guilty party. Haley will pick up the foul. Roth wanted to be a shoot after that miss. No shooting. Back it goes to BJ. On the wing to Courtney. Thrown away by Minnesota.
That time, Tyrone Corbin a little too quick. Once he got the ball away from the outstretched hands of Stacey King, turned into the traffic and was a little too cute with the ball instead of recognizing who was around, who was open.
Jordan stands and crouched in front of his Corbin. Jordan leans, double pumps, and puts it in. Nice move by Michael Jordan.
Well, it's the fourth quarter right now, and this is where, in a tight game, the Timberwolves need somebody to step forward, just as Michael Jordan does. Not in the same vein, because there is not another Michael Jordan, but someone to step forward and take over some of the offensive load.
King gets the rebound and gives off to Davis, who gives off to Jordan, who has put in 30. Jordan gets the pick, looks one way, feeds the other. Taylor coming off that baseline.
And he does it in so many ways, whether it's scoring like on the last opportunity or creating opportunities for his teammates to get better. Michael Jordan does it all.
10.5 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Chicago has built that lead back up to 9. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves television network.
Rebates up to $320 for switching to electric water heating. Your favorite appliance dealer has the water heaters. Otter Tail Power Company has the rebates.
Move up to electric, your quality choice.
Yes, you heard right. Rebates up to $320 for switching to electric water heating. See your favorite appliance dealer while he still has some left.
Move up to electric, your quality choice.
People are waking up to the fact that there's no oat bran in cornflakes.
Hey, there's no oat bran in cornflakes?
There's no oat bran in Rice Krispies.
Wake up! If you want oat bran, try Cheerios, the leading cold cereal made from whole grain oats.
Hey, wait a minute. There's no oat bran in Raisin Bran.
Wake up to Cheerios, the one with oat bran.
Nobody tops your pickup like Redco, the Northland's one-stop pickup shop. Choose a quality Lear fiberglass topper available in a huge selection of colors, styles, and sizes. With Lear, you get the industry's only true lifetime warranty. Redco's great accessories include the new pop top, the convenient tilt-a-topper lift kit, rugged bed mats and bed liners, and the stowaway slide-in sofa for comfortable seating and sleeping. Redco, Fargo, and Brainerd, they're tops in toppers and pickup accessories.
4 rebounds, 2 assists. 73-64, Chicago. Richardson against B.J. Armstrong. Looking over his shoulder. Campbell's had the hot hand. Who's triggered the offense? Corbin in the deep portion of the field. Stacey King made his name in Oklahoma by just that, coming out of the back with a very agile rebound. Jordan tries for 32. This is short. Passing the 10-minute mark. Here's Corbin. The defense crashing into the defense.
Quickly, Pooh Richardson gets the ball up court after hesitating a little bit. But once he does, again, he finds somebody inside.
They miss that guy, don't they? Sam Mitchell, the Wolves.
Sam Mitchell is another one of those players like Tyrone Corbin who hustles on the boards, has opportunities that he takes advantage of when he gets it inside, and just an all-around athletic player. He's another guy that you can put on Michael Jordan to try to overplay their passing lane.
Mitchell was going to guard Jordan tonight, but they put Corbin on him, and the free throw's up and in by Ty, give him 9. Jordan will check out, Pippen will check in. Set a new NBA attendance record for opening night tonight, 35,437. Free throw by Corbin. Previous night was up in the Kingdom in Seattle.
Well, with Pippen coming in to sub for Michael Jordan's got his average. His team's got somewhat of a lead here. And he can rest them at least until they may need him later on in the quarter, which they hope they won't.
Pippen with an air ball, Wolves pluck it out of midair, and there's Richardson down the middle. Pushing from behind was B.J. Armstrong on Corbin. You can't muscle Corbin with a little body like Armstrong has, can you?
No, and once you play these guys down low, B.J.'s got to recognize he cannot play behind anyone. His first inclination is to jump in front and make him throw it over his head, hope that he gets help.
Off has some room, thinks about the shot, continues to think. Now he puts it up and in.
Got Roth with Jack Haley on him again. Haley not with quick feet, but playing off Roth, gave him the shot. And that is Scott Roth's strong point on offense, that outside jumper.
11 off the bench for Roth. Knocks it away from here. 9:05, fourth quarter. Good hook. Pippen in the hand. Knocked away, stripped to the ball. Here comes the fast break. 3-on-2. Campbell.
Got to be able to finish those. Great penetration by Richardson.
Richardson out rebound. Taylor
gives him another chance.
Campbell against the glass. Murphy collects it. Up and in.
Pooh Richardson gave Tony Campbell another chance. Campbell with some tough luck on the shooting in the second half. Good follow by Todd Murphy, though. That's one of the things the Wolves have displayed throughout the game, the ability to hustle back and put in some of those errant shots. And, of course, Michael Jordan is back. He's got his rest, and the Bulls need him at this time. A 7-point lead when he left, a 3-point lead at this point.
Chicago leads 73-7. 8:20 remaining in the game. Armstrong crashing into the defense, lost the ball. There's another 3-on-1. Let's see if they can convert. Roth trails, off to Pooh, double pumps. Yeah!
Bulls have got to call a time right now.
8 points for Richardson. Another standing ovation at the Dome. Pooh Richardson's taking the place of the injured Sidney Lowe and doing a great job. 8:04 left in the game. Chicago by 1. This is the Timberwolves Television Network.
Breakfast in bed?
Every Sunday.
For 39 years.
How about some whole wheat total?
No, thanks. I like my 100% natural.
And I like my grape nuts.
Better like them a lot. It takes 4 bowls to equal the vitamin nutrition in just 1 bowl.
As much as it's been the defense and overplaying in the passing lanes and offensive rebounding, it's been the floor play of Pooh Richardson that's brought the Timberwolves back from a 15-point deficit to where they are right now, just 1 point down.
Wolves on an 8-0 run in the last 2 minutes, just crossing the 8-minute mark of the fourth quarter. 73-72, another low-scoring game. Pulled away by Chicago! The rookie King threw it away.
And as we mentioned before, you put defensive pressure on a team, overplay the passing lanes, they've got to go to secondary and even third options, and that time Stacey King didn't read it correctly.
Minnesota can take a lead should they hit. Down the lane, Campbell.
Yes!
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wolves have their first lead since early in the game. Campbell with 27. Minnesota lead for the first time since the first quarter. Paxson, Portland. He travels.
And as much as they can be in this cavernous Metrodome, this crowd is starting to come alive.
How have the Wolves gotten back into the game?
Well, they've gotten back in again primarily by defense. They've forced the Bulls to do things they're not accustomed to. They've been able to slap balls away and then convert those loose balls into points.
Roth to his left, the open end, the shot, the miss. Corbin controls the ball. Spins, Baker, for Roth. Roth.
And there's that offensive rebounding we were talking about. Relentless. Every time the ball goes up, a Wolf gets his hand on the ball, and that's what's going on within the minds of every guy on that floor. If you miss the shot, we've got to go back and get it.
Corbin is cold, 3 of 14. They may not go to him. He'll inbound the ball.
You see, Campbell, Corbin knocked it back outside. They get as much credit as Scott Roth does, who stuck his nose into it and got fouled.
Those are not boos. Chant of Pooh. Neely is on Roth. They were teammates in the CBA. Good move by Pooh. Down the boulevard. Knocked away. Out of bounds. Give it to Chicago.
Pooh Richardson, again, as a rookie, made a nice move getting Cartwright up in the air, but when he dribbles around, he's got to pull up for that short jumper.
Michael spins, leans, bullseye. Jordan with 32. Chicago leads by a point. 6.5 minutes remaining in the game. Richardson. Campbell's put in 27. The rookie with it. Down low, Campbell over Pippen. Loose ball foul. Wolves will pick it up. Michael Jordan's put in 32. We're the last of them. Again, spectacular.
If there was ever a time when the Timberwolves have to make Michael Jordan give up the ball, it's in situations like that when he gets it on the wing area. You've got to send someone else at him, someone preferably from a guy who's not as offensive minded. Ed Neely's man, for instance. Make him give up the ball and keep him from getting it, because right now, this is Michael Jordan's time in the game.
Murphy at the line, and we're tied at 75. First tie since the third quarter. Now the Wolves lead 76-75. Murphy with 9, Wolves by 1. 6:10 left in the game. Richardson on Paxson. Here's Cartwright against Murphy. Cartwright.
And as it was in the first quarter, Billy Cartwright gets the ball in cleanly. There's no contest.
Chicago by 1. Just passing the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. Richardson. Roth. Campbell, 27. Knocked away. Good defense by Chicago. Jordan's put in 32.
Got to send someone at him. You can't let him stay out there and create on his own.
He does with the pass to Cole.
Now you can't let him get it back. Jerome Corbin's got to honor him going to the basket, but he's away. He's tough.
Shot clock to 5. There's the defense.
Good job by Jerome Corbin. Even though Jordan got it back, his hands were continually working. Knocked that ball loose.
5 seconds to shoot. 5:20 in the fourth quarter. Thrown away by Chicago. Paxson will draw the foul, holding Pooh Richardson.
And you've got to give all the credit to Tyrone Corbin. The man that they looked for was Michael Jordan. Tyrone Corbin did a great job of overplaying him coming to the ball. And then the ball gets thrown away. It's not a breakaway because there's no possession really by Pooh Richardson. But they're giving it to him anyway.
Technical foul. Technical foul on Jackson, the coach of Chicago.
The concept
Another technical. He's gone. He's gone. They just ejected the coach of the Bulls.
The concept of the breakaway is that if an offensive player has an opportunity to go unscathed to the basket and is then grabbed to prevent him from getting the shot, then you should call a breakaway foul. It gives 2 free throws and possession to the team with the ball. Now the officials must have believed that Pooh Richardson was out in front of Paxson, and then Paxson grabbed him. From this vantage point, I'm sure that's what Phil Jackson was arguing. That one, Richardson may not have had a chance to get the ball, therefore it was just a loose ball situation. And secondly, he was even with Paxson, so it couldn't have been a breakaway.
Well, what you just saw were the technical free throws by Campbell. Now the fouls by Richardson. Pooh's going to get some foul shots. 2 coming his way.
Correction, it was not a breakaway foul. It was a clear pass to the hoop.
Okay, it wasn't a breakaway foul. Because Phil Jackson thought it may have been one. That's one interesting thing. He may have also thought that Michael Jordan was held on the inbounds pass. But most importantly, the reason Pooh Richardson's getting 2 shots right now is because they're in the bonus. And as I mentioned before, to be a breakaway, the offensive player has to have a clear shot of going to the basket unscathed and then become fouled from behind. That time I didn't believe Pooh Richardson was ahead of Paxson, and Paxson just grabbed him to keep him from getting the ball.
Pooh misses the second. John Bach, by the way, will now take over the reins coaching the Chicago team as the assistant. Jordan's on the side. Here comes that converging defense. Jordan feeds. Paxson open. Here's the J. Paxson saves it. Here's out of bounds. Nope, didn't save it.
But important to note, the Timberwolves now recognize Jordan gets the ball, you double team him, make him give it up. That's exactly what they did that trip down. Gave it to Paxson, who misfired.
78-77. Minnesota. 4:50 in the fourth quarter.
It's crunch time, and now the Wolves are looking for someone to step up to the line offensively.
Roth pops him up and off. Clearly the ball.
Those aren't the shots. The Wolves want a shot that's going to result in a basket or getting them to the free throw line. You can't settle for 20-footers. That's what the Bulls want you to do.
Pippen misses. Neely, the ball. Back to Scott. He's open. He shoots.
Bulls starting to assert themselves underneath their own basket right now with Ed Neely and Billy Cartwright doing the bulk of the work.
Good pick by Neely and open up the jumper and a 3-pointer. Michael Jordan.
The difficulty with that shot, if I were Bill Musselman, there's a steal by Pippen. Richardson had his back turned. The difficulty with that Jordan 3-point shot was not that he made it, but he made it without anyone having a hand in his face. You can't do that down the stretch here.
Now the Wolves trail by 4. Corbin against Jordan. Spinning, leading. Out of the back, Pippen to Michael. Here it goes. Oh, it's out. He misses. Jordan is on Richardson.
And he's very intent on getting that ball back. He wasn't very happy with that missed layup.
10 seconds to shoot. Wolves down by 4. Roth to Campbell.
And before Scott Roth made that pass, he recognized Campbell was open and set it up with a nice little stutter step to draw the defender towards him.
Campbell at 29. 3:10 left in the fourth quarter. Michael Jordan, one-man show. Up on a prayer, won't be answered, and he goes to the line. Jordan from the line tonight, 6 of 6.
Minnesota foul on Scott Roth. His third personal.
82-80, Chicago. You surprised it's remained this close, Leno?
Well, how could we? Because the previous 2 games, the Wolves have taken each team down to the middle of the fourth quarter before they lost something in their execution offensively. And here is no different. We've gotten it right down to the wire again with 3 minutes left.
Jordan with 37. 4-point lead for Chicago, 84-80. Roth against Neely. The CBA teammates go head-to-head. Who's open? A 3! Hit them. Again a rebound. Foul called on Roth. A loose ball foul on Roth.
Now, you know, a lot of people may not agree with that particular shot at this time, but with 2 minutes and 46 seconds left, that's a perfect time to try it. They gave it to Pooh Richardson. He's in a good position. It wasn't an angle. It was one of the shortest areas where you shoot the 3, and you got to take it and make yourself a threat. Had he made it, he's a hero.
Paxson. Paxson gives his team a 6-point lead. Paxson was 7th. He started at the point. Richardson is in there because Lowe is injured. Who has accelerated this offense a bit for Minnesota. Campbell, started by Jordan. Roth bumps into Neely. Foul Ed Neely.
Well, being teammates in the CBA, Ed Neely's got to realize that Scott Roth is a left-hander and totally a left-hander, yet he gave him the baseline so easily there, you wonder what he's thinking about. But the biggest problem the Timberwolves are having right now is they're not able to get anybody isolated out on the wing except for the time with Scott Roth, and that's with 7 seconds left on the shot clock. The Bulls are switching inside. Each time there's a pick inside, the men are switching, so they're not getting a clear path. The Wolves aren't getting a clear path to the ball. They can't start their offense.
Wolves are within 5. 2:10 left in the game. Paxson. Richardson's on it. They're going to run down that 24-second clock a bit, I take it.
2 minutes left in the
Here's Neely.
Got to sign 2 people after him. That's what the Wolves are doing right now, making them give it up.
Jordan smothered, yet hits. Oh, my. What a shot by Michael Jordan. He was smothered by the defense.
And as a coach, again, you can't argue with it. You do what you're supposed to, but that's the difference between Michael Jordan and mere mortals here in the NBA.
Good defense by Chicago. Fouled against the Wolves. Tyrone Clay. 1:40 left in the game.
Minnesota foul on Tyrone Corman. His third personal. Team's first in the last 2 minutes.
88-81. Chicago with the lead with the ball. Paxson against Pooh. Puts up the runner. Oh, they're hit down.
Well, yeah, now that the game is slowly slipping out of the reach of the Timberwolves, it's got to be quite frustrating for Bill Musselman and his staff because they're right there, just maybe a few inches from stepping over that line from defeat into victory land. And it's always the shortcoming on offense, not able to get the ball to somebody who's dominant inside, and on defense, maybe that one little let-up. But here tonight, there's really nothing you can do. The let-up came on a Michael Jordan.
Like we said, they're going to run down that 24-second clock with Stephen Jordan behind his back. He makes people gamble, doesn't he, Len? I mean, he makes all kinds of people do things they don't normally do because he's not your normal player.
Well, that's part of it. Here you see him with a nice crossover. You got help coming over with Murphy. The two of them, he splits both defenders. That's what makes it look as though they're gambling because he does it so easily. But the problem is when you play a guy like that, you have what they call the Michael Jordan mindset. And that is you're so focused, whether it's prior to the game in the papers and the talk shows, and all the reporters telling you how you're going to stop him, you have that mindset not recognizing that he plays with 4 other guys. And what you have to do, again, is make these 4 other guys do the job.
Jordan has put on a show. He's put in 40 points tonight. 56 seconds left in the game. And the score, Chicago 92, Minnesota 81.
Monday on 21 Jumps.
Well, Michael Jordan has put in 40. He's been, I think, everything this crowd, which numbered a little over 35,000, wanted to see him.
Well, basketball's back in the Twin Cities with a bang. Unfortunately, a couple people are starting to leave. We still have an awful lot of believers right now.
There's a foul. Pippen picks it up. Down to 43 seconds remaining in the game. Chicago leads at 92-81.
Tony Campbell, you have to give him a lot of credit, though, because he, for 2 games, had some offensive difficulties, not being able to put the ball in the basket. You may have been able to question his judgment offensively, but he came out today like a house of fire, attacking the basket. And that's something that the Timberwolves need. Unfortunately, down the stretch again, he wasn't able to get open because the Bulls did an awful lot of switching to prevent him from getting the ball. But one thing Coach Bill Musselman can rest assuredly that Tony Campbell will come to play, and he came to play tonight.
Campbell again. Rolls down by 10. Campbell has put in 30 points. Bulls eating up the clock. Foul Doug West. West got in early, didn't he? Second quarter.
Minnesota foul line, Doug West.
Tried to get some offense clicking, but it was really Richardson in that second half that at least upped the tempo just a bit.
Yeah, it's been a valuable learning experience for Pooh Richardson. He now should have the confidence that he could lead this team. He's going to be able to watch these films and talk with the coaching staff on how much better a player he can be, particularly on the fast break and certain decision-making instances. And also when he has the ball and has a wide-open shot opportunity, he's got to be able to pull the trigger. In many instances, he just gave the ball up and allowed the other team to play 5-on-4.
Jordan now has put in 42 points. Timeout taken, 27 seconds left in the game. Chicago by 12. This is the Timberwolves Television Network.
It's getting frustrating as hell. He's going to bite the inside of his lip. I had a hole in it. Yeah.
First of all, his tie's on backwards. Chicago by 12. 27 seconds left. Hey, kids, you can become an official member of the Timberwolves Breakfast Club. See your local grocery store for more details. The Timberwolves Breakfast Club is sponsored by the American Dairy Association of Minnesota, General Mills, KSTP. Should do it, Len Elmore. No shot clock. Wolves can run down the clock, and when it was crunch time, they went to that guy right there, Michael Jordan. 42 points tonight. There he's pushed by Richardson. Foul against Pooh, and Michael Jordan has been over 40 points many times in his career.
And that's the thing we were talking about in Seattle and tonight, that the Wolves have to come out and play hard every night, because on a night when things aren't clicking, which it seemed to be for Chicago, they weren't clicking on all cylinders. They still have that superstar to rely on. The Wolves don't have anyone like that, so they've got to scratch and scrape for everything they get. Tonight, Tony Campbell rose to the occasion, but offensively, when he got stifled, there really wasn't anyone else who stepped to the fore.
10 seconds left in the game. Jordan with 44. Everything you'd expect. 44 points tonight, 40 last night. He opened the season with 54 points. He is unbelievable.
We never had a chance to see him up close and in person. He's someone that you have to see in that manner in order to believe. Absolutely.
He hits the free throw.
He does it with such a facility, though. It wasn't a bombardment of points right now. He did it quietly but effectively. Picked his spots and made the most of it.
That's the point. You know, he picked the right time to accelerate. 7 seconds. Should do it. He'll hold the ball. Down to 2. BJ. And the buzzer. Well, final score, 96-84. Chicago beats Minnesota. Wolves came close, though. At one time they led 76-75. The Timberwolves did, and that was in the fourth quarter of play, and there was a run there. A couple runs, as a matter of fact, where they were really effective in the midst of that fourth quarter.
Well, I mean, they played some fine basketball to get back into the game and actually take the lead. Defensively, again, they shut off the passing areas, forced Chicago to look for second and third alternatives, and they turned the ball over. The problem is, again, when Mr. Jordan started to step into the fray and take over, the Wolves didn't have anybody who could respond in time.
Final score, Chicago 96, Minnesota 84.